And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, including Madagascar, wherever you are. We are back for another episode of the Real Lil Show. It's going down, just so you know. Say it ain't so. It's going down, man. It's going down. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you support new media. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you send it up the algorithms because we ain't come here to play no games, man. We came here to talk sports, do what we do. Y'all know how we do. We do it every single week, and now we shall speak. So it'll be written, so that it be done. Lil Shadamas is on the mic to have some fun because, per usual, I do have fun. And when you talk about on Sundays, you know what Sunday means to me: sports, gym, sports talk. Don't bother me. Don't bother me on a Sunday, okay? Please do not call my phone. Do not text my phone unless it's important, okay? Otherwise, I'm either doing this podcast. I'm doing what I got to do. All right. I'm doing what I love to do. And that's what we're going to do. And man, let's talk about the rundown for today's show that we have because, I told Lee in the background before we got in here that, you know what, we set the tone with the topics. When the topics are great, I know we're going to have a great show. And every single week we have a great show, especially the last show that we did. Everybody's still buzzing off of that topic and topics that we did on that last show, Lee. So we want to give them something else to buzz about as well. All right. And we're going to do so. We're going to talk about athletes, talking about millions or not enough. Okay. We're going to break that down. Are athletes out of touch with reality, or do they have a fair point? We're going to break that down. Deshaun Watson had a meltdown post game yesterday after the preseason game. We're going to break down if that meltdown cost him his job. We're going to break that down. And also college football. All right. College football. Yes, college football. Okay. And I'm saying it that way because it's college football. Things are happening in college football that are unprecedented. All right. Listen, college football is all over the place. And we just had another move that signifies that. We're going to break that down. So, Lee, Stack Show, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm loaded for beer. I'm going to pass the mic over there. Lee, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm doing well. This is going to be a great show. NFL season starting to just be right around the corner, trying to settle all these quarterback battles. I think we're going to talk about today the most important one I think that's out there. This topic about athletes, professional athletes, players that have signed contracts or in camps going back to college. That's a fiery subject. And then this one about pro athletes in general with millions saying there's not enough money. Hey, man, we're going to go at it. So, guys, we need y'all to chime in, help us with this topic because, as you know, Lil and I are probably going to have different opinions about it. Let's do it. Let's talk about it.
And we might as well, and let's get to the topic number one, shall we? I'm going to immediately play a clip because I want to give context before we even talk about this topic. Because, Lee, I don't know how you took this press conference. I took it as a meltdown, okay? As somebody that's crying for help, as somebody that is broken. That's how I took it. But, Lee, we'll figure out how you took it. We're going to run the clip right now with Deshaun Watson after yesterday's preseason game.
Man, I didn't have no reaction. I think the biggest thing is I think you guys know too, and I think the whole world knows it has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit personal than that. So I think it's a disrespectful thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep whatever I feel with me and my family internally on how I feel about that. And yeah, just move on.
But don't you think, Deshaun, that winning and playing better would eliminate some of that booing?
Last time I played on this field, I tore my Achilles. And that same fan base, they cheered when I got hurt. So does that have to do with, what does that have to do with anything about performance? When a person get hurt, especially for your own city, and they cheer.
Does any of that make you regret coming here?
No, I don't regret anything in my life. I think the Lord put me through situations for a reason. So I don't regret anything at all. But I had different thoughts on how it was going to be, but it is what it is. Sometimes the tables turn, and I'm patient enough because I'm a child of God to wait for that time to change. So I'm not tripping on it.
All right, Lee, this is a two-part question here. Obviously, the meltdown of Deshaun Watson there. I want to get your thoughts if that will impact the Browns quarterback decision, if that decision is not even made already. And also, Todd Monken came out a couple hours ago and said that he expects to name a QB1 tomorrow. So I want to know also, who do you expect to be the QB1 named tomorrow? But first things first, I want to know your thoughts on Deshaun Watson's comments.
Yeah, Leo, for me, first and foremost, shame on the Cleveland fans, right? New season starting. You're trying to get behind your team. You have a young, talented team that's getting ready to try to improve on a subpar season last year. And it's the first time you see your team at home. And you come out and you boo Deshaun Watson profoundly. Why? I mean, what has Deshaun Watson done to Cleveland but be a warrior? Played, got injured, shoulder, Achilles twice. Are people that hateful, that doubtful because the man signed a $230 million contract that they want to boo and ridicule him? Now, his play wasn't good, but you have to take into context what's going on. He's playing with the second and third string team line and team members the same way Shedeur Sanders played with them last week when everybody was talking about Shedeur sort of played subpar. It's football in general, Leo. It's how things go. And so if the fans can't grasp that, shame on them. Do I think the press conference is going to hurt him in Monken's decision making? No, I don't think that is going to hurt because Monken understands he has one job. His job is to pick the quarterback that he feels is the best because he has to win football games. So I don't think it affects Todd Monken's decision making based off of that press conference yesterday. But it just, to me, it just shows a classless fan base who don't even have the projection of winning to boo the man as profoundly as they did. They planned on doing that, Leo, prior, no matter how he played there, because they want Shedeur and they have animosity against him. Even the ones that don't want Shedeur has animosity against him. So I don't think the press conference in itself is going to hurt him one way or the other. But I do think Todd Monken is going to play the quarterback that he feels best about. I've always said, Leo, that Shedeur should be the starter. And I'll just repeat what I've said over and over and over again. You're a young team. You're a team that you have a lot of young talent around. It would be great for that young talent with Shedeur at quarterback to grow with them together, right? And develop rapport and grow. He has more upside as far as his ability to throw the ball down the field. And I just think Deshaun Watson is not in your long-term plans. So why in the world would you start him now if you know this time next year he probably won't be on the roster? So I wouldn't start Deshaun Watson. That's Lee Jones. He would not be my starting quarterback. I would be thinking about, would I even cut him, Leo, because you don't want him backing up Shedeur. I would have been getting Taylor Green ready to be the backup or go out and trade for a veteran backup. Now, final point in this lap for me, who do I think Todd Monken will start or announce tomorrow? I think he's going to announce Deshaun Watson because it's easier for him to go from Deshaun to Shedeur in his mind than to do it vice versa if Shedeur struggles. I don't think Shedeur is going to struggle. If you watched the game yesterday, Leo, very poised in the pocket, very accurate throwing the ball down the field, showed athleticism. You're always going to have some ups and downs with a new starter. But so I don't think he's going to start. But I do think Monken is going to start Watson, and then he's going to transition back to Shedeur. So I think Watson will be the starter, and he'll be announced tomorrow.
Yeah, Lee, I don't know if you peeped the drip here that I got on, but it says people and it says 1 star. I strategically wore this shirt today on this show. All right. It's not by chance. It's not by accident. It wasn't the first thing that I saw when I got out of bed. All right. This was thought here because Deshaun Watson, you get 1 star, if at all. Okay. Really. All right. Because to me, what I saw yesterday should cost him his job. And I don't know how Todd Monken can come on tomorrow with a straight face and look the media in the face and say that Deshaun Watson is our guy. No. Okay. I would not be able to do so with a straight face. All right. Now, with that being said, when you look at this whole entire situation and what Deshaun was talking about, look, let me be clear here. I do not condone fans booing when somebody tears their Achilles. I think that's a definition of classless. And we are in a classless, going to be cashless society. Okay. Now, with that being said, when you talk about Deshaun, we cannot act like it is personal. It's not. It's not personal. It's football, buddy. You're not playing good. Because at the end of the day, Lee, as far as I'm concerned, Tiger Woods, when he had a situation, people forgot about it. Right? And sure, you could argue that, yeah, he probably did suck for a little bit right after the situation. But guess what? He still won the Masters maybe a decade later after the situation. So we forgave him. Not me, but they did. Right? I'm talking about people here. Now, Michael Vick, salute to the dogs out here, right? The dogs that he tortured. All right? People forgave Michael Vick. Why? Because, yeah, he wasn't Michael Vick when he came back, but he still was a decent player when he came back. You get it? Okay? When Kobe Bryant was his godly soul, okay, when he had his situation in Colorado, all right, people forgot about it. Why? Because he was Kobe Bryant. He won championships. He came back and he got buckets. So at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson is not personal. You think people give a damn about what you did at a massage parlor? People don't give a damn. People let Jeffrey Epstein's minions and all of that left them alone, okay? And they was out here torturing and eating children. So if you think that that would have get people riled up to do something, people don't give a damn about what you did with some woman at a massage parlor. People care about winning football games. People care about what you do on the court. And the reality is, you got $230 million fully guaranteed. All right. Then you got the nerve to get on that press conference with your shiny earrings. All right. Lighting up the whole daggone room. And you want people to throw a pity party for you. I'm not doing it. Okay. You, just like these other athletes, and we're going to talk about it. All right. Y'all want a pity party for what reason? What reason? Okay. You stole $230 million. There will be no pity party from Lil on this show, with all due respect. And salute to Todd Monken. Salute to Todd Monken. He had an impeccable response to those boos. He said, you know what? If you want people to stop booing you, play better football. You see, I'm watching Todd Monken. Todd Monken, I got my eyes on you, brother, because I see that you coming from that old school cloth, and I like that. It reminds me of a guy that coached in the league that retired, known as Bruce Arians. He used to come out and call Tom Brady out, the GOAT, when he used to make mistakes. Out there with it. Like, yo, you played horrible. That was horrible throw, whatever. And I see Todd Monken, I see Bruce Arians and Todd Monken, because he's not going to hold no punches for lunches. He's going to throw it out there in bunches. And that's exactly what he's doing. So at the end of the day, Lee, I hate to break it to you. Deshaun Watson, there's no people out to get him. They want to see him play better football. And I guarantee if Deshaun Watson is named the starter tomorrow and he goes out there and he balls and the Browns go 5-0, especially knowing what we know about their quarterback history, if he gives them some competency, okay, they will be riding this dude on a donkey. All right. But guess what? You got to play better. And yesterday and what we saw as a microcosm of his Browns career has been otherwise.
Yeah, you made a couple of good points in there, Lil, but I'm going to push back a little bit. Football is a different animal. It's not Kobe Bryant in basketball. It's not Tiger Woods in golf. It's a totally different animal. So the mindset of the NFL fan is totally different from the NBA fan, from the golf fan. So they do make it personal. They do make it more about the individual in the person. That man signed for $230 million and he played. He's had several injuries. And so injuries are one thing we can't account for, but he's been injured. Didn't mean he didn't go out and give his effort. So you should get behind your quarterback. You should get behind him at the first time you see him play, and you shouldn't be booing him as soon as he runs out on the field. Now, the other thing is, Lil, you quoted Todd Monken's quote. Well, you know what? Let's be real about the situation in Cleveland. Their 2 and 3 deep teams are terrible. They were terrible last week. They were terrible this week. So you put Deshaun. He came in and struggled. And, Shador struggled to a certain extent. He played better getting the ball down the field, even with the subpar backups. But their 2 and 3 deep stinks. So him and Andrew Berry had some culpability in this as well. So my deal is, look, if somebody plays bad, you're right, Leo. They have a right. They have a right to boo. Nothing wrong with booing. But this man takes it personal because he was laying on the field. And as he got carted off the field with a torn Achilles, these same fickle Cleveland Brown fans were booing him as he rolled off. And his last memory of coming in to Cleveland Stadium, whatever they calling it now, was the fans booing him. And as soon as he runs on the field, they're booing him again. So screw the fans, because that's classless, in my opinion. Now, Todd Monken, I still say, Lil, he's going to name Deshaun Watson the starting quarterback. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. But I still say he's going to name Deshaun Watson the starting quarterback. And we'll see how that goes. I think Cleveland has great skilled players on the outside, young talent. They have 2 very good running backs. If their offensive line hold up, whoever plays quarterback is going to have a legitimate chance. The question I have with Deshaun is, as the starting quarterback, Lil, his accuracy down the field and his willingness to go down the field. You saw yesterday that Shador is willing to hold that ball and wait till those receivers clear and get that ball down the field. He has excellent pocket presence. I like that pass where he stepped to the side briefly and threw that dart. So he's willing to do it. That's Deshaun's thing right now in his career. Is he willing to do that? And has he lost his pocket presence? But I think Monken is going to name Watson, and then that's how it is. Ray Blackwell, no one cares about an injury. You have underachieved, and you haven't been good enough while in Cleveland cutting out. Do you want to have a veteran quarterback? Even if Shador takes over to come in the game, you do want a veteran. Do you want the spectacle of Deshaun Watson behind Shador? I don't know. But let me say this. It's not on Deshaun Watson, Leo. I don't want people taking shots at this young man. He served his time with the suspension. He came in and gave everything he had.
Yeah,
with
so
Cleveland.
one
I
problem,
think he was in a bad offense, Leo. I think he was in a bad offense. So don't be booing the man the first time he comes on the field. That's foul.
There's one problem that's going over your head right now, Lee, but I don't want to lose track here.
Bring it to me, Leo. Bring it to me. Bring it to me.
I don't want to lose track here trying to clean up your mess. So I'm going to get right back to that point that's going over your head.
Bring it to me.
All right. What I do want to say, though, before I lose my train of thought, is that Deshaun Watson, you see, there's one thing that Shador Sanders has that Deshaun Watson doesn't have, and it's one key thing, and that's confidence. And you see it in the way how he plays. You see it in his moxie, the way how he talks. Shador Sanders believes he's the best quarterback that ever played the game.
I agree with that.
All right. Now he could throw an interception. I agree with that. He could throw an interception and still fit out way.
I agree with
You
that.
see, the thing about Deshaun Watson, he's not playing with that confidence. And when you look at the press conference and you look at him out there in the football field, how he is in that pocket, you don't see that confidence. And that's one thing I feel like is an important attribute to have is confidence. Because if you have a broken play out there with his whole fan base, or not fan base, but the fan base of the team against him, to me, that's a recipe for disaster. I believe that it's a recipe for disaster to have this team go out there hearing these boos when that's supposed to be their home games. Like, forget about Deshaun Watson. What about the rest of the team? The team full of young players, because they do have a lot of young players. Do you really want them in that environment? I really do believe that the Browns fans believe that they are going to make this quarterback decision. Not Todd Monken, not the front office.
Well,
they're going to boo Deshaun Watson out of town to the point where Deshaun Watson, we're going to force, front office and Todd Monken to play Shador. That's what I believe the Browns think they're going to do.
That's ignorant on the fans' part. That's not going to happen. That's not.
Now, what I would say, it may not. I don't think it's going to happen. I do believe tomorrow, to answer the two-part question of this, I do believe Deshaun Watson will start. But again, I'm looking at this press conference like, how could you start him? Now, Lee, let me get to the point that's going over your head.
Bring it to me.
Right here, you're trying to throw a pity party for Deshaun Watson. Okay, right now we're not doing that because Deshaun Watson has never owned up to his situation. Never did.
What situation he needs to own up to?
The masseuse. Okay,
you just said it doesn't matter. That was a long time ago. Okay. What are you talking about?
He never owned up to the situation, took accountability for it. All right, and I think a lot of people want that. A lot of people want him to take accountability and play good football, and he hasn't. He hide behind this religion. You hear him in the daggone press conference, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Where is your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ when you was at the massage parlor? Okay? We got to stop this hiding behind Christianity to hide our accountability. We got to stop that. Okay,
everybody, look now. He still can be a Christian, and we all have demons. So I'm not going to go there.
We have demons, but guess what? At the end of the day, we cannot hide behind our demons and use Christianity as a front. All right, own up to the situation and what happened. He never did. He should have did it a long time ago. I don't expect him to do it now. Clearly, it's been how many years since it happened? But back then, he should have owned up to the situation instead of saying it never happened or was it this and
he
that.
Said it was consensual. If you settled with him, isn't that owning up to him? You settled with the people.
No. You come out.
You want the man's head on the stake and chop it off.
You own up to the situation. All right, that's how you move on and you play better football. That's it. So, Lee, my last point here that I want to make, and I'll let you bring us home, is that I believe Deshaun Watson will get the job because I don't believe that Todd Monken is going to be his decision to make. I think that Todd Monken has the illusion that he's going to make the decision. I believe that he wants Shador Sanders. I believe that mainly because of the way how the game was called in the preseason. You look last week, the first 5 plays that Deshaun Watson ran were run plays. There was a 3 and out, 3 runs, 3 and out. The next 2 plays, run, finally a pass. Shador came in the game immediately. They was pushing the ball down the field. That's how he was calling the game. So to me, I believe that Todd Monken wants to play Shador. I believe that although there's not a lot of separation between the two guys, both have their, icks. Deshaun Watson won last week. This week I thought Shador Sanders won. But again, the context there, you're playing against second strings and all that. We got to see what happened in practice. But I don't believe that there's a clear separation. But I do believe that Todd Monken believes that Shador is the guy for the job, but I believe that the front office is going to make that decision because there's a lot more invested into Deshaun Watson. I believe the contract has a lot to play with it. We didn't talk about that yet here on this subject, but I believe that it should be talked about like it was last week with me. He is due $46 million. To me, it's hard for me to see him on the bench. He's either going to get cut or he's going to play. I cannot see it in between. Lee, I don't know if you agree with me.
Well, $46 million, he's going to bank that regardless of whether he's on the bench or cut. It doesn't matter. So the money shouldn't matter at all. The money, and I don't think the money matters.
I mean, it does because if you cut him, Lee, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have dead cap, $36 million in dead cap in 2007 and $51 million in dead cap in 2028.
It doesn't matter. This is his last year on his contract. That money is accounted for in their salary cap this year, irregardless whether he's on the team or not. So, look. And you made a point about Deshaun's confidence in Shedeur. They're different type of quarterbacks, Leo. Shedeur is a traditional stand-up pocket passer, gunslinger. Deshaun is more of the mobile dual threat, move around with his feet, make things happen. I don't see a lack of confidence with Deshaun Watson. I just see a different mindset when you're behind center. Doesn't make any one of them right or wrong. Both of them can excel. And I do agree with you on one point. The way Monken calls the game when Shedeur's behind center is different. I said this last week. It's different. It's totally different than the way he calls it for Deshaun because of Shedeur's ability to hang in the pocket and throw the ball accurately down the field. Deshaun's going to be able to move the pocket, run, throw the ball on the move more. So they're different type of quarterbacks. But I agree with you. He's going to start Watson. I personally would start Shedeur because I have a lot of confidence in Shedeur Sanders. But this notion, Leo, he needs to fess up. He didn't get all that mess. Now, everybody wants people to fess up, and no, hell no. Deshaun paid the Cleveland fans do not like Watson. He's a quarterback that got a guaranteed $230 million. NFL fans are very, very fickle. They're very fickle. When people get money, especially black quarterbacks, people have fits. And they've held Deshaun to this. Let me say this. He hasn't delivered. Let me say
we just going to pull the race card here,
He hasn't delivered, but that doesn't mean.
We just going to pull the race card here, Lee. The guy is trash, bro. The guy is trash.
How's he trash?
His career in Cleveland has been a bust.
He's been injured the whole time he's been there.
His career has been a bust, so we're going to blame it on it. I mean, that's part of the game. You got to be healthy.
I know. He's been injured. Look, I get that. And look, the investment of Deshaun Watson has not paid off up until this point. You won't hear me say anything differently. All I'm saying is the man is healthy finally, and if he's your starting quarterback, support him as your starting quarterback, and certainly don't boo the man as soon as he comes on the field before he throws the pass. That's ridiculous from a fan base that hadn't won a damn thing in a number of years. Give me a break.
And they ain't going to win another thing in another number of years. And I agree with Ray Blackwell here. He is playing like dead cap. But unfortunately, hey, sometimes you just got to get your money's worth for whatever that is, for better, for worse. And I think the Browns are going to make sure they get some type of money's worth. Maybe just him being available because he wasn't available the last couple of years. Is some type of money that's being worth something. But at the end of the day, to me, football has always been about wins and losses. And right now, the Browns ain't winning.
Last thing I'll say, Leo, remember this for all you people out there. Cleveland starts on the road in Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, they start out on the road.
Yeah, Lee, you can just count every home game as a road game too at this point.
And and as I think, put my thinking cap on like Todd Monken, it's better to start Deshaun, an experienced quarterback who has played in big games on the road. That's why I think he's going to start Watson. That first game is going to be huge because it is a very short leash. There's no doubt about that. So we'll see what happens when Cleveland goes to Jacksonville.
And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up topic number 1. We might as well get to this fiery topic number 2 that's on the way. And boy, do not want to miss it because it's gonna happen right now. And we might as well get to it, Lee, shall we? Because speaking of people and giving them 1 star, like my shirt, like my drip. Athletes, they chimed in after Odell Beckham Jr. says that $100 million contracts are not enough. Now, Lee, Odell made this comment about a month ago. Now, ever since then, we've had athletes recently chime in, right? So, yeah, technically this topic happened a month ago, but it's still very fresh because there's a lot of athletes responding to it. And to me, this is the appropriate time to address it. Now, I'm going to play the clip of Odell, and I got another clip to play right after that. So we are going to run the clips, and then we're going to take it from there. Let's hear from Odell Beckham Jr.
Count right here today, as we speak, I'm going to be straight for the rest of my life. No question, right? I don't think everybody is in that. And when you've sacrificed your whole life to get here, and you're like, yeah, I played 10 years in the league, And I always explain this to people, like, bro, you give somebody a 5-year, $100 million contract, right? What is it really? It's 5 years for 60. You're getting taxed. Do the math. That's 12 a year, that you have to spend, use,
Save,
invest, flaunt, like whatever, however, just being real. I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna give my mama a house, I'm gonna do, everything costs money. So if you spending $4 million a year, that's really 40 million over 5 years, 8 a year, And now you start breaking down the numbers, it's like, that's a 5-year span of where you're getting 8 million. Can you make that last forever? And you always hear the people who ain't us and ain't been in the position, like, oh, well, that would last a lifetime.
Let's hear from Dominic.
I was probably a 35 to 45 man roster. I wouldn't say I was the 46 man on the bubble of being active or not active, but I was on the low range of my salary coming into that team, and I was a backup, and it was very humbling of looking at how that was. And so, like, having gone through that experience and seeing the best of the best and where you can be and where you're in the quote unquote middle of the road, like, it's a big difference and that's what fans don't understand. It's like, man, there's guys that are, again, still living paycheck to paycheck because $100,000 and you're getting hidden with the jock tax and cut that in half. Like, you're playing for New York. That's $50,000 that you're bringing home. Think about that. Think about that. Let's just bump it up to 200 grand.
All right, Lee, let's talk about it. How much is enough for modern athletes? The mic is yours.
Well, for me, and look, I'm not in that boat, but I can really having done my time as a agent advisor and doing the research as an agent advisor, I understand all of the financial planning resources that the NFL gives these guys, right? They have, financial planners that they can tap into. They set up their 401ks for them to make sure that they have money for when they retire and throughout life. And all of the resources that the NFL provides their athletes, they're there, right? They also provide these players opportunities to learn how to set up additional businesses, how they can invest their monies. And they have, for those that want to go into broadcasting, they have a track for them to do that. I'm saying all of these things to bring home the point that for the modern day athlete, there's so many resources for them to maintain their wealth that the NFL has put in place for them that is unreal, more than any of us will ever imagine. There's far more resources for them. They at the rookie symposium, they go over all of this stuff. They go over financial planning. They go over the jock tax and all of that stuff and how that affects their money. So all of these things they go over with these players now, and so I get sort of, I'm not going to say offended, but it just blows my mind when we have players coming on saying $100 million is not enough. That's ridiculous. What you're really telling me is, Leo, you didn't take advantage of all the resources that the NFL lays out for you to be wealthy, not just to make money or to have money, but to maintain wealth. Now, they're not going to make you do it, Leo. They're not going to force you to do anything. They're not going to force you to go into broadcast. Look at Russell Wilson as a prime example. Russell Wilson could have played another year or two in the NFL, but you know what he did? He did a little externship with CBS, right? And then CBS brought him that offer, and now he's on CBS Game Day show. He prepared for life after football. These guys, all they want to do is spin. They want to flash. They want to do all of this as if they're going to play 15 or 20 years in the NFL. It's not going to happen. The average lifespan in the NFL is 3.5 years. If you get to 10 years, you've lived a long, lustrous NFL career. So when these guys come on here talking about, oh, it's not enough money, quit having all these babies. Quit having all these babies. Quit trying to take care of multiple girlfriends. I saw Jordan Seaton at LSU. He got a nice NIL deal, but he goes out and buys his girl, $100,000 worth of purses and things, right? I mean, what kind of crap is this? See, this is what I'm talking about with these guys and how they value their money and use their money as if they're going to have that type of salary for the rest of their lives. Then they come on and say, well, I can't take care of the 15, I'm not exaggerate, the 8 kids that I have. Yeah, but you shouldn't have had 8 kids out of wedlock anyway. So these are the things that pisses me off when I see stuff like that, Leo, because I know for a fact, because I had to do the research when I was being an agent advisor, I had to do the research to understand all of the things that the NFL offers them, the financial planning, the 401k. I recently saw an interview, and then I'll turn it over to you, Leo, with Michael Vick. And Michael Vick said he definitely took advantage of the NFL's planning for their 401k and their wealth planning. Michael Vick's get a check every year for the rest of his life, 6 figures, no matter what, because he took advantage of it. For those individuals that are not bright enough or ignorant enough to understand what the rest of their life means, and it's certainly not past, in a lot of cases, 35 years old, if you don't take advantage of that, shame on you. So I don't have any sympathy for the modern day athlete when they say it's not enough. To me, that's foolish.
Lee, it's a full moon. I have to agree with you. Here. And I think you laid that out perfectly. And I'm glad that you was able to give some perspective from your lens of being an agent. I think that's very helpful for a lot of people to understand some of the business side of the NFL and everything, and the way how things are set up for, players to succeed, life after football, and provide wealth for their families and maintain that wealth for their families. Now, Lee, with that being said, many rich athletes like Odell are out of touch. They are. But this debate reminds me of the middle class, upper class debate that I see on social media every single day. And I'm not even talking about the rich debate. I'm talking about the $100,000 a year is not enough. All right. But just like that debate and this debate, it lacks proper context, because every time I hear that debate, we are not talking about, in fact, they're in the people that are living beyond their means, trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to keep up with a lifestyle. We're not factoring in how many children you got. All right. Or you out here sleeping with Tiana, Melissa, all right, and Sophie and Sarah, all right, and making all these children, right? How are you taking care of your family? There's so much context that goes into a broad conversation like that. Is $100 million a year enough? Is $100,000 a year enough to live? So much context that just going over our heads and we're not even factoring in. Now, Odell Beckham Jr., he has one child, right? He has one kid, and he surpassed $100 million in total earnings in the NFL. If you cannot make $100 million in total earnings work for you with only one child, I'm sorry to break it to you, Odell. You living beyond your means, buddy.
Yep.
All right. Now,
Leo, can I add? Even with all the taxes, when you look at that $100 million, okay, and he's right, they take this, that, or the other. So let's be conservative on that side. You made $100 million, you get to keep $40 million. If you can't live off of $40 million, that's a problem. But I'll throw it back to you.
Exactly. You had Antonio Cromartie, who had a whole village of children, 14 children to be exact, by 8 women, right? You had Phillip Rivers, who had 10 children, right? That's probably why he had to come back and play football last year after 5-6 years out the game, right? But again, context is applied differently, because I expect it to be more, financial impact for somebody having 14 children or 10 children as opposed to 1 or 2. So there's more context to it. Now, a lot of these athletes, right, coming into the league now because of the NIL, they're already getting life-changing money prior to coming to the NFL. They could already invest their money into a Roth, You know, I bet a lot of people don't even know what that is. You should. All right, take notes. This is class here. All right, 401k and all that. They good. They should be already coming into the league. Good. Think about all the people pre-NIL era that didn't even make the league. So they made no money. They working regular jobs like the common man. All right. So again, we got to stop this nonsense. People like Marshawn Lynch, people like Gronkowski, they lived off their endorsement money and did not spend a dime of their salary. Marshawn Lynch saved his entire NFL salary. The only thing he used was his endorsement money. And now he got into the photography field. He's out there moving and grooving. He out here making it happen. There's nobody living a better life right now from the outskirts than Marshawn Lynch.
That's an important.
All right. And I'm not saying that because I want to get fined. All right. He gets 3 stars. Matter of fact, you get 5 stars. Odell Beckham, you get 1 star. But anyway, as I break it down and I come down to my first lap and I pass the mic right back to Lee, it's all about perspective. It's all about how you handle your money, because a lot of these people are out of touch. They feel like they got to keep up with the Joneses. All right. No, you do not have to keep up with the Joneses. Like my guy Jay-Z famously said, you can pay for school, but you can't buy class. And right now, Odell Beckham Jr. is not buying class. Lee, I'll pass the mic back to you for your second lap.
Yeah, for me, Leo, it all goes back to this. If you think being an athlete is enough, it's just not, Leo. There's a reason you go to college, right? You go to college to set yourself up for the rest of your life based off of the system we have here in the United States, right? So those college classes mean something, right? You're supposed to learn as you're progressing, as you have your NIL money. Now you should start taking financial classes to understand about how you manage that NIL money. And then you want to know how you turn it into long-term wealth. These guys, they just want to find out how many chains you can wear and what type of car you can buy and all of this foolishness. And this is not just refined to football. It's basketball too. 60, 65, 70% of pro athletes are broke when their careers are over. Why is that, Leo? It doesn't matter. In the tax bracket that they're in, Leo, if you make $100 million, you may only take 40 to 45 million home, but that's $45 million. It doesn't matter what, all of this. You can't live off of $45 million. There's something wrong with you. And you can get into some of these pickles like Vic was and placating to all your boys from the streets and bringing that posse in. Well, shame on you, because you have to understand that we're talking about generational wealth for your kids and their kids, and you can't bring all of these additional people along. And
let them go get a job. How about that?
Yeah,
go get a job.
If you need a loan or something, if you fall on hard times, that's different. But Vic was paying for everybody, and a lot of these guys are doing that. They're hanger-ons. The first thing as an agent you tell your client, Leo, is you have to get rid of the people. They call them, in the old days, they used to call them hanger-ons, right? The people that hang on to you because they know you've made it, and they're going to play on that emotion of you being boys back on the streets to share your wealth with them. Well, look, I know who my homeboys are that I love and I'll take care of. You know that, and it ain't 20 people. And so you have to understand that. And you have to understand your money can only go so far. I don't mind you taking care of mom and daddy. I don't mind you buying them a house. I don't mind you buying them a car. You can afford that if you've made $100 million. But you cannot afford to do the business deal for Pookie at the car wash. You can't afford to go and slide your brother this money so he can move some weed. You can't do that, Lil. And this is what be happening with our young men who should be role models to their communities, Leo. So I don't have any sympathy for these guys because it's set up for them to succeed. But what happens is, Leo, they'll get with anybody and that's telling them something. Half of these guys don't sign their own paychecks for their payroll. They don't look at their expenses that are going out. Well, shame on you. If you're allowing people, Terrell Owens, to sign your checks and bringing you deals, and you're giving them your power of attorney, right? We learn all of this stuff to make decisions for you. Shame on you. That's how you get robbed. So this notion that you don't have enough money is foolish. But you made a great point about having babies by 5, 6 different women. And then also the one thing about Phillip Rivers, his kids are by the same woman. He came back so that he could get that insurance that the league provided for his kids. Smart. He played it smartly. He didn't care about getting in the Hall of Fame. He knows he's going to get in the Hall of Fame, but that those health benefits was more important because his wife was getting ready to have another baby. So he wanted the benefit.
That
That's
wife is
smart.
fertile as hell if she pushing out 10 children.
Absolutely.
What is she, Sarah from the Bible? I mean, goddamn. But
Instead of these guys,
the Virgin Mary can't relate to that. The Virgin Mary cannot relate, Lee. The Virgin Mary cannot relate to 10 children pushing out. But anyway, Lee, I do want to break this point too, right? Because, and I said this before, I do believe that we live in a pro-labor society. So I'm always going to advocate for people in general, whether you're rich or whether you're working class, to get more money. I'm going to always be an advocate for the individual employee over the employer, because I do believe that we do live in a pro-labor society. So whether it's football labor, whether it's working labor, get your money. I'm going to always cheer for you to get your money. Even if I don't think you deserve it, I'm still going to cheer for you. You know, whether or not I give my opinion on the show, football related, that's one thing. But from behind closed doors, I'm going to cheer for you to get your money, because I am not cheering for the people that's sticking people up every single day. The corporations that's doing so every single day. I'm not. Also, too, if I can be fair here, right? We can use this avenue to address a real issue, which is taxes, okay? Because let's be fair, taxes are not on nobody's side. It's not on my side. They take money out of my check every single 2 weeks, okay? It's not on their side. It's not on nobody's side. Because Lee, and I hate to get far radical, so I'm not going to go too deep in the rabbit hole, right? I'm going to walk the thin line, because truth be told, there's nowhere in the Constitution that says you have to. We just know the consequences of not paying it, right? Because there's no place, and I would dare anybody to look at the Constitution and be like, you have to pay taxes as a citizen. However, we do know the consequences of us not doing it, right? So that's another thing. I guess that defeats me thinking, right, for a second, right? Because we too busy on a hamster wheel, we can't even think. But anyway, with that being said, yeah, sure, taxes stick a lot of people up. So that's true. So we would have framed the conversation of, well, yeah, taxes is a killer. Yeah, taxes is this, and it's, it shouldn't be legal or whatever, or they shouldn't take this much or whatever. Yeah, I could agree with that conversation. If the conversation was, you know what, young athlete coming up, do experience, $5 million, it may seem like a lot, but you know what? Be good with your money. Make it happen more. Make $5 million work for you, because it's really not a lot of money. If you were saying that from a sincere place to a former, or not a former athlete, but an upcoming athlete, yeah, $5 million is not really a lot of money. You would really want to make that money work for you. Some type of encouragement. All right, not this out of touch reality, because right now the people that support you are people that got to go to work in the morning. So we cannot be out of touch with our comments. And a lot of these athletes, they live in a different plateau. That's why I always tell people, I don't worship athletes. You shouldn't either. I like to watch the game. They play for a corporation, and the corporation dishes out a product that I like to watch and that I talk about. I would never follow any athlete, because at the end of the day, they don't even care about anybody, especially me. They care about themselves. So that's my point, Lee, and I'll wrap it up there. Yeah, you can bring us home if you want.
You made some great points. Ray's making some great points. You throw in the endorsements.
Yeah, salute to all the comments. My guy Kenny Ray.
The endorsements that they get. You're building yourself as a brand, right? You build your own brand, and this is what these guys don't get. And I'll close with this, Lil. The brand that Odell Beckham is, that Shador. Look how Shador Sanders markets himself, Leo. And he had been in league 2 years. His jersey made $18 million, right? He's out in the community. He's an entity to himself. He's been brought up right. Dion and his whole financial structure has raised him right. Well, why don't these other guys get some role models and some financial people to help them along as well? We all pay taxes. It doesn't matter about that because it is what it is. That's why you negotiate these huge contracts, because you know that you're going to pay taxes. But him saying, or anyone saying, that if I negotiate $100 million contract, that I can't live off of 40 or 45 million and then throw in endorsement deals, that's foolish. That's foolish. And take advantage of what the NFL offers, what the NFLPA has negotiated for you, Leo. And these people, half of these athletes in the NFL especially, they don't even care about the Players Association. And the Players Association is out there fighting on their behalf and getting all these things that they have not a clue about. So it's shame on them. That's really what it is.
And salute to athletes like Jalen Brunson, who turns down $113 million. That exposes this whole entire debate here, because if he could turn down $113 million because he knows he's going to make that money back on the back end, then there's really no excuses there. Absolutely. Okay, there's no excuses. So yeah, we'll leave it like that. These athletes, Lee, they want a pity party. Deshaun Watson, all these athletes, they want somebody to feel sorry for them. Lee, I refuse, honestly. All right, I refuse. With this economy that we're living in today, with the dynamics of where they are today, I refuse to throw a pity party for an athlete.
I get it.
And we are going to move on to the final topic on today's show. And Lee, I want to break this one down. So the Browns will waive the tight end Daquan Wright, who has agreed to play for LSU. So Lee, let me just tell people about the historical context here. So the tight end, right? Mr. Wright, he was on the Browns trying to make the team.
Yeah.
And now he will be going back to college football. That has never happened in the National Football League, where somebody who was already on a team in the NFL went back to college in the transfer portal. And that just happened today. So Lee, as I pull up this flyer, I do want to give my take on that topic. I don't know why I can't find the flyer. So Lee, I was going to go first there, but I'm actually going to give you the mic while I get everything prepared. Thoughts?
Okay. So with Mr. Wright, he's a tight end, played at LSU. There's 3 other LSU players as well who have signed an NFL contract or in NFL camps that have filed an injunction with the state, and they've got a restraining order allowing them to go back and enter the transfer portal in college football. The reasoning behind it, Leo, just so the audience knows, with the new 5-for-5 rule in college football, you have 5 years to play 5 seasons, to play 5 years from the time you either enter college or at your 19th birthday. That rule was implemented in June, and it goes back. But the players that came out of high school in 2022 and entered college that were seniors this last year, some of them only played 4 years, Leo. And so they're filing a deposition, a restraining order to position for that 1 more year of eligibility. So that's what they're doing. They're coming back. They went to a judge, they filed for the restraining order, and they've given them a temporary injunction for them to play. So that's why Mr. Wright can go back into the transfer portal. And there's actually, in all of the sports in the NCAA that are pros, there's about 100 players that are in this boat across different sports. They're positioning the courts for 1 more year of eligibility. So you're going to have NFL players who came out 2026, 4 years. They want that 5th year. And it doesn't affect, people that have actually played in regular season games 2 or 3 years, but it's those rookies really that are coming in this year. That's who it affects. Now, that's a little historical backdrop for it. Leo, when the university presidents voted for this, they voted not to include players that only played 4 years in college, right? So they said, well, we could go back and give them an extra year, but it would dilute all of the teams or having these guys enter back into the portal. So they didn't include them in the 5 for 5, granting them an extra year. That's where they messed up. They should have allowed those kids, if they wanted to come back into college, to go back in school for that 5th year. So it's 5 for 5. That's why they're in the predicament they're in right now. So is it fair for these guys to do that? I say it is. I say it is. Not from I don't think they're beating the system. College football changed the rules, or college sports. They changed the rules. I'm going to give you 5 for 5. Remember, other players took advantage of that. They got a red shirt year. They got an injury year. These kids happen to just play 4 years, and it was their senior year this past year, and they couldn't have the 5th year. So for me, hey, I think it's fair game. And those players would have to denounce their contracts with the team that they went to the NFL for, and they can go sign with any team. And Mr. Wright here, he's going to be signing with LSU, of course, with Lane Kiffin. So they're taking advantage of a loophole. It's no different than what teams do, what general managers do, what college coaches do. And the whole fault of this matter is with the NCAA, because they had a chance to grant all of those athletes an extra year, and they would have closed the loophole, Leo, but they didn't.
Yeah. So my thoughts on this is, look, for decades, the NCAA pimped out student athletes, and now student athletes are pimping out the NCAA. And another college football loophole, of course, your boy Lane Kiffin exploits it. He finds a loophole to exploit to get talent to his team. This guy, man, this Negro right here, bro.
He played
this
for him
Negro right here.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that Daquan is ending up on Lane Kiffin's team adds on to the optics for me, because we already know that Lane Kiffin has been the hub of bad optics and college football controversy, you know, since he made that move to go from Ole Miss to LSU, and then obviously the Jaden Daniels jersey demand scandal. You know, he's happens to be on that team, coaching that team, and then you have this unprecedented move, the first of its kind, with Lane Kiffin on the team. He's already making headlines. All right, and let's not even talk about the career that he had before that. So I did my research, and Lane Kiffin reached out to Todd Monken a week ago in regards to Daquan, which we all know Lane Kiffin will break any rule to get a talent on his team. He'll go through any loophole, any rule. You know, he will sell his soul to add talent to his team. That's just the Lane Kiffin way. And college football allowed the biggest con man in professional sports currently right now to find a loophole that allowed Daquan to go back to college football, and in this case to the LSU Tigers. Now, Lee, you look at the NIL, you look at the revenue sharing, you look at the transfer portal. It has given the player significant power. Yeah. Now, we looked at countless players, you know, running to sympathetic judges to get an injunction so they can get their way, so they can run away from accountability, so they can run away from reality, right? They run to these judges. Oh, please protect me. I want another year. I want another year. And they go, and then they get these injunctions, right? Now, that's why I like the 5 for 5 eligibility rule, the age eligibility rule, because there's an age aspect to it. Not only the 5 years, but I believe it starts 5 years from your high school graduation date, or at age 19, whatever came first. And I believe that that was the only thing that college football has passed in recent years that actually gave some uniform to the league. But clearly, as you alluded to on that topic that we debated on, that there's still other loopholes. There's still other situations, the transfer portal being one of them. And clearly, it didn't really serve that issue. It just uniformed that particular eligibility issue. But clearly, there's always going to be loopholes. This is another prime example. And unfortunately, the biggest con man in professional sports found that loophole and reached out to him during training camp. And that's just where we are, Lee.
Yeah. You have to look at it like this, Leo. These players that are in the NFL, they're marginal players who may not make the roster. They may get cut next week after next. They may get cut. So they're thinking, look, I can get cut or land on a practice squad and I'm making $90,000 a year, or I can go back to college and make $400,000 or $500,000 a year. This is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for guys that are marginal players. Mr. Wright was playing at Cleveland. He hadn't practiced for a couple of weeks, and he was probably going to get cut anyway. So the season is about to start. He's making a business decision to say no. And like you said, your boy Lane Kiffin probably $250,000, $300,000 to come back, whatever the price is. He's an excellent player, and he improves his draft stock. He improves his draft stock coming into next year even more. So this is a no-brainer for these players that are marginalized, players that are going to make the 53-man roster and are set to go. They're not going to do it. But these guys who, are not they're on the bubble in training camp, and you think, well, wait a minute, there's a loophole where I can get another year of college eligibility.
But the question,
I'm going to take it.
The question with that is, what type of precedent does that set? Because if you look at the players, right, to be honest with you, this right here that Daquan Wright did, he blindsided his head coach. He blindsided his head coach, Todd Monken.
Yeah, but he
blindsided the coach. And on top of that, you have Lane Kiffin that reached out to Todd Monken, so he was already plotting. He was going to talk to Monken about it.
He
was already plotting, right? So clearly there had to be some contact for him to even reach the point of reaching out to Todd Monken. He clearly had contacted Daquan, because why else would you reach out to Todd Monken if you didn't have no conversations with Daquan? So my point is, that's the precedent that we are setting here, because now you're going to have players that coaches in college can reach out to that's on that bubble and literally could pull them back into the transfer portal.
You won't have it going forward, Leo, because as I explained earlier, this is a special circumstance.
Yeah, because of the 5-for-5, they didn't have it
right. So
class.
It only affects this
that's why I like it. That's why I believe, and that's why my debate that we had on the 5-for-5 actually proved out to be correct. Because guess what? Now you just ended a loophole. So my point about the 5-for-5 that we debated on actually stood the test of time, because clearly that's why I said it was the best thing that college football has done in the last couple of years, because it prevents a situation like this from happening forward. It happened in the NBA as well. Well, not the NBA, but the professional leagues as well. These basketball players were going back to college. I believe that has to end. And that's why I think the 5-for-5 was the best thing that college football has done in a long time.
It helps the football and basketball, but it doesn't do well for the other sports because they're on a different time frame and calendar for 5-for-5. This is really focusing on basketball and football, and again, it will help put some uniformity there. But until they get the transfer portal settled, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. You're still going to have people leaving. If they get to the point where you have one, the way they want legislation to go, and you have one transfer, free transfer, and then if you do it a second time, you have to sit out, that will sort of pigeonhole players a little bit more. I don't like it, but that's what they want to get done. But there's nothing wrong with this, in my opinion, because the NCAA had a chance to give them that extra year, and they would have not opened a Pandora's box for the way they look in the public eye with this happening again, but they chose not to do it, Leo. Shame on them.
Yeah, shame on Lane Kiffin for being Lane Kiffin. Okay, like this guy's biggest idiot in professional sports, biggest con man for sure. I mean, I don't even like his face. Just looking at this dude, bro. I just want to smack this dude. Like really, really. Like you could just tell somebody who's fake. And I just have a ick when it comes to fake people like Lane Kiffin. But you know what? It is what it is. He's on LSU. He's going to continue to do what he do. College football is going to continue to be college football. There's always going to be loopholes. And college football has changed. And like Ray Blackwell said, it has changed. And it's a totally different league than the league of a couple years ago?
Well, I'll end with this, Lil. The NCAA, college sports, the athletic directors, and the presidents, I said this 3-4 years ago, had an opportunity 5 years ago, Leo, to really right some of the wrongs of the revenue model in college sports. And all those players and their representation, they were seeking, for the players to get a piece of the pie. And they were talking about, $50,000 more in scholarship money that would go directly to the players, so every player could have some spending money to buy a car and all this good stuff. And it would only cost the team. I did the estimates. If you look at an 85-man roster and you give them $50K, you're not spending, but almost $8 million, and these budgets are $140, $150 million in revenue when we finish it out. So the NCAA and these presidents had an opportunity to control this, Leo. They chose to be greedy. They chose to put that money into building new buildings and things of that nature, new science building on the backs of these athletes. And now they're reaping the rewards and paying the piper right now. So I have no sympathy for the NCAA, because too long they've exploited these players, and now the players are exploiting them. There's a sweet spot in the middle. And as I've always said, Leo, you're going to have to eventually realize you're going to have to collectively bargain with these college athletes to get this right.
My last point on that is, when you talk about the NIL superstar of the modern day coming into a professional setting, obviously there's always going to be pros and cons to everything. But from a standpoint of the players and how they come into the league, a lot of them going to come in entitled. I mean, you see more and more than before through the draft process, the combine, not doing interviews, not participating anymore, more than ever before. Marvin Harrison was famous for that. You're going to have, people trying to negotiate ownership in the franchise and all that, like Caleb Williams' team try to do. You're going to have the Jaden Daniels jersey demand. You're going to have a lot of situations where just the NIL superstar and what comes with it. And again, that's the bed that you wanted to lay in, and guess what? You got to lay in it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll end on that show.
Everybody's an entity. The draft and the old way of doing football that was exploiting the players and treating them like cattle and people dropping these disparaging remarks to make a person drop in the draft. That's over, Leo. The players and the agents are empowered now, and so it's a right sizing of college sports and professional sports to a certain degree. Pros have it made because they have a collective bargaining agreement. College is still fighting a model that they know is the right way to go. They just don't want to do it. And they think that they want Congress to help them. And that Congress is not going to, because it's too much turmoil on both sides as they try to get that done. So, college football, NIL is here to stay. If these people really want a solution, they'll go the route of a collective bargaining agreement with the players and make them true partners.
And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode of the Real Lil Show, because the partner that I have right now is my bet, okay? Because guess what? I got work in the morning. All right. I'm not out of touch like these Odell Beckham Juniors and all these modern day NIL superstar athletes and professional athletes. I'm not out of touch. Guess what? I got work in the morning. Okay. I work hard for mine. Okay. And I'm not out of touch with reality. All right. And I don't believe my guy Lee is out of touch either. And again, Lee, when you're talking about people, brother, sometimes you just got to give them 1 star, my brother. 1 star. Not 5, not 4, not 3. Not even 2, 1. Lee, the mic is yours. Feel free to plug yourself in.
Hey, always look out for After the Buzzer show with Lee Jones. Comes on Sundays. Check us out. Like, subscribe to my show. keep watching the Real Lil Show. We do this. If you want real sports conversation, check out After the Buzzer Show with myself, Lee Jones. Lil is a lot of times my co-host. And check out the Real Lil Show because we're going to give it to you straight. You always are going to find out something you didn't know when you check us out. So keep tuning in.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Real talk, real content, real impact. We out.
Sports, politics, conspiracy theories. We are here to give you our unique perspectives on things happening in the world. It's the one and only, The Real Lil on The Real Lil Show.